Welcome to the Beyond the Sound podcast. Here at Beyond the Sound, we explore and discuss music and arts happenings in the Salvation Army Northwest Division, serving Washington State, Northern Idaho, and Western Montana. I am your host, John Opina, Divisional Music and Gospel Arts Director, and I am joined by my co-host,
Keith Almanza, Assistant Director for the Division.
Welcome to episode 12, and we have quite the episode for you. Joining us, our special guest is... Nobody, just Keith and I. And we are looking ahead to, taking a look back at what happened in the summer and looking ahead to what's going on this program year. So what's on tap today, Keith?
So why don't we start off with a little summer recap, because I know we already put out the episode with Dr. Nathan from Senior and Junior Music Camp, and we put out our episode with Zach and Hannah from Musical Theater Camp, but we haven't talked about like the full camp season all the way through WMI.
Did we talk about WMI?
No, because it hadn't happened yet.
We didn't do, what was our... No,
it was August. In the newsletter, but it wasn't.
What was our August?
August was the theater second one. Yeah.
Okay.
So I figured...
I'm obviously up to date here.
We just do a little recap. So, we started our time at Camp Gifford. Went to the ice cream place way too much. I think my waistline is still furious at me for...
Every day, I think.
There had to be one we didn't go, I think.
I'm pretty sure we went every day.
There was one we were not supposed to go, but that was... But then, I think the staff outing ended up going there instead.
Yeah.
So, that wasn't our choosing. It ended up being that we went there.
Their wings, actually, were pretty good.
Oh, yeah?
They were, sizable wings, too. They're not like Wingstop, where there's, the baby...
Like little party wings?
Yeah. They were, like the old... Tyson bag.
Oh, okay.
From Costco or back in the day. Yeah, those are good size wings.
That's some good stuff.
And they had a Marionberry cheesecake ice cream.
Yeah, they did.
I think that's probably one of my favorite memories from the summer, actually.
Well, that's what we're getting to after this. So we started at Gifford. I think all things went well there. It was fun incorporating Captain David here and there for praise and worship, when he sat on the kit for... I forget what we were doing for reggae, but it was one of those.
It was
Omaha
make room.
Moments. Oh, yeah.
And it was for their staff worship night, and we probably should never do that again, or at least actually practice it.
Yeah, but we always say we should practice this, and then the timing just doesn't work out. So from Gifford, then we went set up at Arnold. We had to mass move the stage forward because it was a little too far back, and. But then, we got all set up there. I never quite felt like we finished set up, though. It just felt... I think it was just the nature of going from Spokane to... where's Camp Arnold again?
Camp Arnold.
But it's...
Eatonville.
Eatonville, that's right.
Eaton.
Going from Spokane to Eatonville and doing the quick turnaround. So we, brought stuff in and then set it up. But then...
I think by Wednesday, by Solos night, I think we're all set. When did we get the light towers up?
I don't recall.
We got to change that. I know camp is... I think they're supposed to get new staging. But man, if we can find a way to do something different with the lights.
Yeah.
Because that thing is...
Scary.
Those things are a beast.
Yeah. They're not fun. But, yeah, it just kind of felt like we were working against the clock a lot of the time. I'm sure we did finish. It just didn't feel like it got done. I don't know how to phrase that any differently. But...
Yeah, I think it did. I think it's just how you're feeling.
Yeah. It was just fast turnaround.
It was tiring this year, more than in other years. I'm not sure if that's because Gifford was first. You start with an easy week, and then you do 2 hard weeks back to back. I'm not sure if that was it, or I'm just old.
It's a mixture of both, maybe.
But yeah, I was definitely more tired music camp than I normally would be. But yeah.
Yeah, same. I think it's definitely more to do with the schedule. Now it goes from an easier one to a heavier one to a slightly less heavy one to then leaving for WMI. it was pretty exhausting.
We had like 4 days in between.
Yeah, that was a lot of time.
Yeah.
But I thought, Gifford went well. I thought our senior and junior music camp, even though I'm not a big fan of the schedule that we did, where it was, Saturday start, Monday start, I'm not a huge fan of that. But
yeah, that won't happen again.
But I did think that it went well. Theater camp, I thought, man, if we can get, I think we talked about this before, but if we can get some more consistency out of the boys as far as showing up year over year, there's a lot of promise in that.
Yeah.
And then WMI.
Yeah. So a lot happened.
Yeah. So why don't we
why don't you start then? Top 3 memories from camp season.
So let's see. For me, so I did the junior brass band, and I was really pleasantly surprised with everybody's attitude going into it. Usually when you have younger groups like that and they're mostly beginners or maybe haven't even thought of an instrument before, there's a lot of uncertainty, maybe some tears where they think that, I can't do this. But these kids, for the 2 groups that I worked with, they were on it. Like, they had a lot of
We
drive.
should back up and clarify that you don't make kids cry.
No, I do. No, I don't.
on a consistent basis.
Kids, they can be emotional when they think things aren't going well. So that's sort of what you encounter from time to time with these beginning groups. Whether it's brass, ukulele, it doesn't matter. It's just if they feel like they can't do it, then they get a little teary-eyed. But these kids, they were all about it. They really enjoyed the process, and there was only dry eyes were in my 2 groups, and it was great to see, great to experience. So that's one. I think 2 would be WMI In-N-Out truck. Always a fan.
How many burgers did you get?
I only got the one. I had 1 ticket, but we got front of the line because our flight was in 4 hours, so they rushed us through.
I had 2.
You did?
Yeah.
How? Who'd you steal it from?
I got tickets from my family.
Yeah.
Not realizing that Kat also got a ticket for me because she went. I think she went before me. So I can't remember.
That's the play.
That's the play.
Have significant others.
So next time, Derek, don't listen to this, but like, hey, I need to get one for my DMD. John,
okay.
It's like I'm getting one for me.
But
and
then
John.
you'll have 3 probably.
That's okay. It'll be just like commissioning, where we head in and out every day.
That's true.
Yeah.
And then let's see, number 1, man, I got to put all the performances into one because I can't choose just one. But was it a Wednesday performance at Gifford?
Yeah.
I thought that went pretty smooth. The Saturday at Arnold, the theater performance, and then I'll even couple in the WMI, the back-to-back day, the part 1, part 2 performances, final concert. Those are all pretty special.
Okay. I think our friends from the U.S. Army Band, that was probably their best in terms of entertainment value. That was their best concert for us. It came at a hard day on Monday, especially for the little youngers, because they just arrived. So it was a long day. So some of them were a little sleepy. But a lot of the girls seem to just dance to the music, which is great, right? Because music isn't just an auditory experience. I think it should be it can be a bodily experience as well. I think my worship team at WMI was rock solid. That's probably, this isn't in any order, but that would probably be the highlight of my summer. When I didn't really know I was leading a worship team prior to the summer, so that was kind of a surprise. And then as we were kind of going through the lists of placing people, right, this is Nico, myself, Taryn, and Andy, Kayla, and even Phil Lager. When we were thinking of, we were putting people in the groups, I didn't really do much in the auditions, so I didn't really know what to expect. But But man, my group killed it. I think they were really good. Weichel on drums did a super good job. Gian on piano did a great job. Our bass player, came out of his shell, throughout the week. And then our vocalists, they did a super good job. So I'm super proud of them and happy that they enjoyed it. I kind of wish I did the song sets reversed rather than starting with.
You mean like do your first one at the end?
Yeah. So the midweek we did. I can't remember. Make Room.
Your Way's Better.
And Your Way's Better.
So you did more like a mashup thing. I don't think most people would know listening to this that's what you did.
Yeah, but it was good. I think the energy with that was so good, and it was hard to go back to the drawing board.
What did they said you were the mashup king now?
Yeah, they were like, you're the Bill Gordon of praise and worship songs. And I was like, well, if we do it that way, you don't have to worry about like transitions.
Yeah.
Like silence. With silence in a worship set, at least at a camp level, can be really awkward, right? So I'm just like, let's just take that out of the equation. So
yeah. It does have its place, but
yeah,
not all the time.
Yeah. And I think another highlight would just, I think all the performances, musical theater was probably the best it's been.
Yeah.
We've talked about reasons why, but I think that was a good highlight. I wish we could do it again. I think that's the one downside of musical theater camp is that we do all this work for one performance and it's done, right? I wish we could do it one more time. But that's just how the cookie crumbles.
I think, why don't we chat a little bit about WMI since we didn't really cover that, or didn't have the opportunity to cover it outside of the newsletter. And then we'll do that a little bit before we dive into what's in store for the new season. So this year,
quick word from our sponsor.
Monster.
K-pop Demon Slayer. You're my soda pop, my little soda pop. Oh, I was writing rhythm too.
That's good.
Yeah.
So WMI this year
Vice Guava
was at University of Redlands, which is this the first time they've gone sort of, call it off campus?
Off of TSA campsite, yeah.
Yeah.
We've done concerts before, off-site. So when it was in Golden State, when it was at Camp Road Glen, we would go down to Mount Vernon. Was that what the camp was called? Man, so that was my first year. So my first year at WMI was the last year it was at Redwood Glen. And we did a midweek concert at Mount Herman. There you go. Mount Herman. And although that still doesn't sound terribly convincing. And then we did a couple years when we were in Malibu, where we went to Pepperdine University and did the final concert there. And that was awesome because it was like a real stage, right? It's a real performing stage where like none of our facilities are like that. They're chapel spaces.
Yeah.
And so to have like an actual performance hall at Pepperdine was pretty fun. But yeah, so it was the first time it's been used as like dorming as well, housing.
Yeah. So those who weren't with us, we all stayed in one dorm building where the beds were really high.
Anderson Hall. Glory fell off, so yeah.
Shout out, Glory. Hope your back's okay. But yeah, the beds were high. You could lower them. We did find that out.
Which I did.
Which I did as well. Because I don't want to say I fell out of bed, but I definitely didn't have a graceful exit the first morning. The floor was a little further than I anticipated. So,
can you give us a story or a time where you were graceful?
Every day. But so yeah, we stayed in the dorms. I think my absolute favorite though was our chapel space, which also doubled as our candlelight space. Which
also doubled as rehearsal space.
Yes, that's true. That was at a steady, I want to say 66 degrees at all times, and it was amazing. We're talking 90 plus outside. Everybody's wearing a hoodie inside.
Yeah.
It was nice.
I loved it. People were cold. I'm like, no, I am not going to complain because I know when I get outside, it's going to be hot, and I'm going to be wishing in my head that I stayed inside. So, yeah, I didn't mind it.
Yeah, and then I think every group had its own space essentially. We had 4 worship teams. You guys were all in different, maybe not buildings, but rooms.
I think my room the entire time was the only room that did not have AC.
Oh yeah, you said
that was
broken
brutal.
or something.
Like
yeah.
some of those. I think it was the evening rehearsal a few days. Like we just kept the lights off, and just said, "Hey guys, it's way too hot in here. We're just gonna keep the lights off." There was sunlight coming through, so it wasn't weird, and people were using their phones and iPads, but it was just way too hot. And there, I think on Thursday they had an electrician come. It's like, oh yeah, we're trying to fix it. Like
for next week, probably.
Yeah.
What was it? So we did the midweek concert in that same space, which was also frigid and nice. But then we transitioned to the actual chapel for the elective night / final concert part 1 and final concert part 2. And that space was very reverberant. Kind of, it was a long hall, so it's definitely easy to get lost in things. And I don't know if the levels really worked out for that space as far as like the miking and all that.
No.
I think the kit, especially because they had that weird glass case of emotion that the drum set was
mics
in.
were never on.
Oh, well, that explains that.
So I mean, it was. I think they had like a monitor in there, but the mics themselves weren't on. So, which is really difficult because, outside of like your vocalists, your drummer is probably the most important instrument in the team.
Yeah.
Right. So if you don't have that steadiness, or you can't hear it, you can't get the vibe, you can't get tempo, you can't get feel. It was rough. The AV team had a tough job ahead of them, and I think if they started in that space, they could have figured it out.
Yeah,
but they really had a handful of hours.
I think they were also, I forget exactly, but I think they were encountering some sort of issue with the receivers having to do with Wi-Fi. I don't remember what the issue was exactly, but there was something from the original space that carried over that wasn't working out.
Yeah, it was a good week.
It was good. Yeah, I think for those who don't know, it was very hit or miss in the food line. You could make a bad choice for sure, but yeah, it was a good experience overall. All right, so let's pivot over to to the new season. So we're in the fall 2025.
Yeah, so this last weekend we had our first rehearsal of our divisional groups. So we had hula, we had youth band, we had Northwest Brass, Northwest Chorus,
Praise and
Worship. And then this Saturday, we started our divisional youth course again. So yeah, we had like 65 total in attendance. We were missing maybe like a dozen. But I think, it's a good start. I think one of the differences this year, well, there's a couple. The difference this year is I'm really wanting youth to just focus on one thing, right? It's not necessarily like a camp thing where like, oh, I could take 3 different classes. It's like, no, whatever you choose, whether it's hula, praise and worship, or band, like we want you to focus on that for the year. Like we want you to pour in as much energy as you can into that, because we've talked about this before in other episodes, and we even talked about it last Thursday at Everett Programs. In a program year, so going from now until May, we meet for maybe 20, 21 hours, over the course of however many months, and that's just not a whole lot of time to really develop lasting skill. Right? It's almost like you're crash coursing, and some of those skills don't last, or like they take really long to develop. And so my impetus for wanting to just have people focus on one thing is, okay, if you do band and you're doing band, at your core, that's 2 hours now. Well, an extra hour in the month or extra 2 because, the time is different now that you're getting to spend on that instrument. So multiply that by however many months we actually practice or rehearse. That's just like cherry on top, right? So I'm excited to see what's going to happen with the youth band. I'm not sure how many kids you had up in there. We had about 12 in the youth chorus. Some of the kids couldn't stay because they had, I think Federal Way, they do their worship, praise and worship rehearsal on Saturdays as well.
Yeah.
So none of them were able to stay. We're missing most of our Spokane crew. Christiane and Hemley were in Hawaii, I think. And
must be tough.
Yeah. And Rose, from Federal Way moved out to Spokane, I think. So
I didn't know that actually until Galani told me on Saturday.
Oh yeah. She told us that she told me at camp. So yeah, so I think it's a good start, and it's a busier calendar season this year especially for the brass. So we'll see how all that turns out.
Yeah, it was good. I really enjoyed working with the kids up there for the youth band. We didn't do a whole lot. Like we looked through 3 charts, I think. Not full picture, but just giving them sort of like the lay of the land and some things to work on, which I'm hoping that they do. We'll see. But there was a good amount of kids. I was surprised to see, I think I had 4 who forgot their instruments, which, okay. Next time, don't forget. But yeah, it was good. Outside of the lacking of instruments, like even Billy, who I want to throw on that front bench, is like, yeah, I forgot at school after football games. Like, come on, man. But yeah, it was good. I enjoyed it. I tried to pick some more interesting stuff for them this year. So still relying on some, the American Instrumental Ensemble series. But then I think I picked 1 or 2 out of the higher level big shiny brass, like Danse Macabre. We looked at that a little bit just to give them an idea of something outside of like Army music.
Yeah, I think that's my kind of approach as well with youth chorus. Unfortunately, and this is no dig, I just don't think there's the experience. There's not a whole lot of like entertaining music, and maybe because it's not entertainment, there's not a whole lot of like fun music out there for like youth choirs in the Army. Right? So we're looking at a Kirk Franklin piece. We're looking at a Vashon Mitchell piece, which shout out to Crystal Nakamayejo in Hawaii. When I was there, she led the gospel choir still for the first few months, and we did a song called Conquerors. And it's just a great song. I use it almost everywhere I go, so that song has stuck with me. But yeah, like I was kind of going through the Army material, and it's just like, the singing company stuff is too young.
Mm-hmm.
Like it sounds like this is small. A lot of them sound like Disney. Like this, a small world after all. It's a small. I'm sure you know it. Or they're too wordy and complex, and none of them are really engaging. And so that's a challenge to all you composers out there to compose some like fun church music for youth groups. I think that needs to be a segment. So I'm having to rely on J.W. Pepper a lot. So
yeah, it's almost like you got to dive into the gospel choir realm just to find more fun charts. Like I was looking at some of the youth vocal ensemble suggestions, like for Encore for East Side with Jenny. There was some not great stuff in there.
I mean, I think my approach is more like Glee.
You got to have the fun factor.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Yeah. And
if it's not there, it's a problem.
It was fun to have, like, they haven't been here very long, but shout out to the Boyds at the Kroc Center in Coeur d'Alene, like, to have, some participation out from the Kroc Center is great. We haven't had anyone from there participate in anything really divisional in a long time. I don't think they've brought anyone to DYR or Young Adult Retreat or Encore. So it's nice to have some people, even if it's just the core officers' kids. Because that at least sets a precedent. For that location.
Yeah,
so
and it might inspire others too.
Yeah. So it was good to have the boys out there, and they had a long drive here and coming here and then going back. So yeah, I think we're set up for success this year. Unfortunately, performance opportunities are kind of few and far between. So when it comes time for the May concert, we'll have to kind of see how much each group can do, and because I want it to be worthwhile. And I wish we had money in the budget to be able to take the youth groups somewhere. I think the adult groups, I think they're okay staying local or doing a concert here or there. But to keep that kind of fun factor for the youth, to be able to take them, say, hey, let's go down to Portland or something and do like a mass concert with them or something. That might be. I wish we had the money to be able to do that.
I think doing like outside of DYR, doing stuff like a maybe incorporating, say like the youth chorus, Private Praise team into like a Say rally. Something like that could be like a good down the road objective, maybe.
Yeah, we'll use them for Encore. So instead of like the adults doing something in the afternoon, we'll probably have like the youth band, the youth worship team, and youth chorus sing. Just so it's like a full-on youth event Encore.
Yeah, that's good.
And then we're just back at core. So have you figured out your schedule, right? Your core visitation. Do you know where you're?
For the most part, I think, because Majors Miller they're out of town on that
study tour.
Yeah. So they're gone until early October, like the first week maybe. So we're not actually doing programs at Puyallup until then. But I'll be at Eastside, Puyallup, Everett. And I think that's it. Doing more lessons, though, at Everett throughout the week. So that's a good addition. I think that shows a little bit more promise for that. So I'm getting some enjoyment out of that. Even though, again, somehow a kid forgot their instrument.
Yeah, I think it's a common problem. And then for me, I've been really struggling with church leadership and how do we grow leadership from our core. Unfortunately, with the way music is, it's a very specialized thing, and we can't. It's hard to just find someone sitting in our pew to say, hey, can you teach something like musically? Because the belief would be if they could, they would, right? So the fact that they're not or don't probably means that they're not musically inclined. And so, we have seen success. I have seen success in how we are doing things currently, going out to core, 5, 6, 7, 8 core a week, whether that's here or in other divisions I've been, I've seen success firsthand. But that success has only been on a personal level, like a couple musicians here and there are improving. Like it hasn't done anything to grow up leadership within a location. And so my focus this year really would just like to be on Everett and just work in that community, work with our kids, obviously, but bring in new kids from the local schools and local communities and work with them for the this program year. And then from that, make connections within the community and see if we can find some local, teachers that could either give up their time to volunteer an hour, throughout the week, or, if it grows exponentially and becomes like a viable music school program, we could probably hire that person. But I think it'll have to take a different approach. And, So I'm glad that you're able to still go out and visit some of these core, and hopefully I can focus on Everett, for this program year and really try and make some connections with the musicians and community at large. Because I think that's the viability, the long-term health of Salvation Army music, I think, isn't going to come from within anymore, right? There are generations now that are just not in the church anymore, right? You look at Seattle Temple, the Lyons family, the Wenslick family, there's 2 generations there, 3 generations with the Lyons family. And outside of that, or the Bryants as well, outside of that, who's next, right? And so we have to start bringing in outside people, whether that's part of that should be part of our mission, right? That's like kind of like our theme for the year for the music groups is mission, which is twofold: mission in discipling saints and lifting one another, encouraging one another, and preaching the good news of Jesus Christ. So I think, for me, the long-term health and viability of our music programs depend on bringing more outside folk, So yeah, I think that's what I'm going to focus on. Hopefully that'll have some success, in the coming year. And if it doesn't work, then I know that was not a profitable venture. So
it'd be nice to bring some, like, speaking of Everett, bring some families back in, like, having Rosie and Rafty come back, Lonnie, we haven't seen them in a while. And they were a big part of our beginning for our music program. So it'd be nice to reel them back in, but I guess time will tell on that.
Yeah, it's hard. The Chukis families community, the Chukis community is really growing in Everett and just in like Linwood, Edmonds, Everett. And so they really like to stick to themselves. Like they have a lot of their own like community gatherings. And so I think there's a lot more commonality there than there is, with us. Which that's tough. Like, I knew the mom when I was in Hawaii, so there's some things with there, but I wish they would come back. I wish we could do more to reach out to community. So I think we'll try and do some stuff like at Kettle Season, try and get like the groups out. And I'll try and take them out personally, just like my ukulele, and just do some Christmas songs, for a couple hours. I think if we could do that a few times throughout the year, I think that'd be fun. Maybe even take out the youth band, for like a 30-minute stint, which just means I need to write more music for that. But yeah, I think if we can do that, and I put out a flyer to the public schools off, just advertising our programs, and so we'll see what happens with that. So
I think one of the last things we have on the agenda for today is just to touch on a song that is currently speaking to you and why that is. So I can go first if you want. The song I've been sort of just playing on repeat has been My Lighthouse, Ren Collective.
My Lighthouse.
Yeah. I think that's one that, the lyrics stand out to me. And, the song is catchy on its own, but the lyrics stand out. So, it starts with, in my wrestling and in my doubts, in my failures, you won't walk out. That's just, I feel like that's a pretty powerful statement, as long as you believe, that is. But, that's sort of been speaking to me lately on my car in repeat a lot.
Yeah, mine would be So Good by Elevation Worship. There's, I think is it the chorus or the bridge? We have that phrase, God is good all the time, God is good. Mm-hmm. And they kind of use that in their song. I think it's just a good reminder that in all things, God is good. And I think it's hard to just, when you're going through some things, especially difficult times, it's hard to see that. And I'm kind of in a season still, I think, of kind of searching of what's next, right? I've said this to you, and I've said this to many people. I'm approaching year 15 of being a DMD, and this is not, at least in my opinion, it was not meant to be a lifetime gig. So I'm kind of just seeking the Lord and seeing like what's next in my life. And so now that I got my master's degree, I've been kind of looking at, teaching opportunities in schools or in colleges. I think a college would be great. And so just kind of seeing what's next, but still living in the moment, right? And just focusing that God is good. Speaking of which, do you have like any memory of like a dream? Let's go like one dream that you had as like a little kid or like a young person. Do you remember? You don't have any?
Nothing I can remember.
Okay, I'll go first. You think. And so I think, and I was thinking about this the other day. I've been thinking about it for a while. And I remember as a young cornet player, we had the Melbourne Staff Band come to San Diego late 90s, I think. And I remember them playing The Present Age. And I think I was like 12 or 13 at the time, so I was fairly new in my journey. And I didn't really appreciate it. Like, I was like, oh, this is loud. Like most kids and probably most adults. I'm like, oh, this is pretty boring. So I remember falling asleep. As I got better, I think the Hendon Band, which is a core band, in like their heyday, they're like one of the top bands, certainly in the Army, but one of the better bands, in Europe. David Dawes was there. A whole lot of other people were there. Yeah. And so they came, and I remember Phil Cobb played a solo. I think David Dawes played a solo, and they came to San Diego again. And I was like, dude, I want to be a musician. This is what I want to do. But I knew like actual playing, like my skills just weren't going to get there. And I remember watching an old mentor of mine, Charlie Henson, rest in peace. I remember we used to go to his house, not often, but every once in a while, and just like listen to old orchestral recordings. And we watched a video once of Herbert von Karajan, and I can't remember the piece, but I just remember his conducting style. And he just, he would not look at music. He would stand there with his eyes closed and, obviously conduct. A lot of grunting, a lot of like murmurings. And I just said, that's what I want to do. Like, I want to be a conductor. And as I've been thinking about like the next phase of my musical journey, like that dream of like wanting to be a conductor again, or like a full-time conductor, right? Like that's just been burning in my heart. And I love leading the Northwest Brass. I just wish I got to do that more often, right? So like I envy like people like Stefan, people like, Neil and Bill Flynn who get like a solid group every week. I kind of think to myself like, man, what could I do? Now, that's very selfish, right? It would obviously be for the glory of God, but it would be like a pride thing of like, how could I take this group and, how could I shape it? How could I lead it? How could I interpret music? So as I think about whatever's next, I think I got to pursue that dream a little bit more. My first dream ever was to become like an NFL quarterback, but that stopped in 7th grade when I stopped growing beyond 5'4.5". And then I remember my mom was still working for the Navy, and we were at like this party in a park, and it was my first time seeing like a full pig like roast, lechon. It was just on the pit, just going, and like one of her bosses had some affiliation with like the Navy SEALs, right? And I was like a 15, 16-year-old kid at the time. And the guy tells my mom, he's like, man, he's like husky, right? He's short, he's stout, like strong shoulders. He should join the Navy SEALs.
I don't know why, but I thought that story was going to be like, oh, man, I saw that pig. And I was like, I want to be that pig someday.
No. But it was cool, because in San Diego, if you go to Coronado, which that was one of my favorite beaches, was in Coronado because it's a south-facing beach. So the waves are different than the western-facing beaches, Pacific Beach and Mission Beach. Anyway, in Coronado, you could sometimes see the SEALs training. And I remember one time we went out there and we actually did see them training, and they were doing like their water exercise where they take like their boats out. They have to get past the waves, do something, and then come back in. And I was like, oh man, that's cool. Like, I don't think I could physically do that, but yeah. You ever have a dream of what you want to do?
My dreams were always lofty. I always saw myself as as playing trombone in an orchestra. That was my dream, my goal, and it didn't pan out. It is what it is. But
well, how do you know?
Well, I've heard myself play.
I mean, so have I.
I mean, it would take a lot of work and a lot of time, and I just don't think I have that amount of time to get there. Like me, let's say me and WMI, for example, it's a lot of time on face, and so by the end of the week, I am solid. Like even midweek, I'm pretty solid, right? There's a lot of reliability behind what I'm doing, but today is a different player.
Yeah, but you also have like an hour plus commute, at least, to and from work.
Yeah.
Right? So you could do a lot of buzzing work. You could do a lot of mouthpiece work. So all I have to say is, like, what if like God still has that in store for you, right? You just haven't taken the step to pursue that. And that's kind of like what I'm telling myself. Like, I have the tools. Like, God has given me the gift. God has given me the skills. Like, I'm waiting for an opportunity maybe. But what if, like, he's saying, like, the opportunity is out there. Like, you just gotta go fish for it.
Yeah. I mean, I won't say it's impossible, but
Mission possible.
It's not typically how someone wins a job, my path. So I won't shut the door on that quite yet, but definitely on the baseball career, that's over.
You got to practice.
I would have been retired of baseball if I had played it. So that didn't pan out either. But yeah, I never really saw myself conducting anything, so I couldn't really share in that dream of yours. But playing, that was always my passion. So
yeah, hearing orchestral music and then hearing brass band music, obviously two vastly different worlds, but like the interpretation of music can still be there. And I think what spurred this on even more is I watched the British Brass Band Championships last week, all 18 bands.
Which is funny because the test piece is an orchestral tune.
Yeah, it's Star-Crossed Lovers or something like that.
Well, it's Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah. And just like, hearing these groups play, essentially just a sheet of music down. I didn't have the score in front of me, but after listening to it 18 times, it's like I can kind of like, oh man, I would have let this speak more. Or I would have done a little bit more different tempo-wise. And I remember following one of the first few times I followed it like an orchestral score, like it might have been, let's say, Beethoven Ninth Symphony. Like tempo reads whatever. And I remember trying to follow the score and like, wait, where's the tempo? Like we're not following the tempo like at all. Right. And it's just because like the interpretation of the conductor, that's just not there in the brass band world. And I always think, like, why not? You know, like, different colors, sure, but, like, musical interpretation can still be there. Yeah, I don't know. Sorry, tangent.
Yeah.
That took a little sideways turn. But, yeah, so I think if I could get into full-time conducting, I think that would be a dream. That would be a dream.
Nice.
So,
any shout-outs so far?
Yeah, I've gotten a few already. I will give a shout out to the Everett Core Kids. We have started something new this season of every first Sunday of the month is Youth Music Sunday. And so we had our first one, not this past week, not yesterday, the 14th, but the 7th of September. And they provided worship. The youth band played a couple tunes for Prelude. The singing company sang a couple songs. One of the youth read scripture. Another youth read offertory or did something for offertory. Not only that, but a lot of them were in the youth band and youth chorus for the first time. And so seeing them kind of begin to step up. Now, I'm not sure how much of it is forced on them. You know, like we don't give them much of a choice. That, you know, like, hey, we're doing this on Sunday, right? So make sure you're here. But to see them step up and enjoy themselves, like Dominic, he's kind of like come out of his shell over the last year. You know, he was having him at musical theater camp. You know, he's kind of become more animated. He's become more outspoken at the core. Even on Saturday at rehearsals, he was a lot more engaging. So I'm hopeful to see how we can develop him now as a young adult, as a older teen, as a potential leader. But yeah, I think my shout out would really have to go to the Everett Core Kids and how they're kind of jumping feet first again, with kind of without choice, and seeing how they've handled it so far. We'll see if we can keep this up throughout the year.
That's good. I'm gonna shout out Kobe Onitsuka Adams from his time at. Let's see. So at camp, he was practicing like every day outside by the tree, which inspired other kids to practice too. And then at WMI, he sat first chair for Sam's band, which I thought was a good opportunity for him to learn a few things, and he really embraced that. And then now, so he did forget his instrument on lesson day, funny enough. So I should negate this shout out. But at band on Saturday, you know, he was really helping Kiara with some things that she was unfamiliar with, which, like a lot of these charts are not. They're going beyond, you know, C to G. So some of the stuff is new to her. And so he's, you know, really taking the time to help her navigate all those questions on the page. And then just, I think yesterday or the day before, Jenny sent me a recording that she did at home of Kobe practicing with Jesselyn. So he's really, you know, taking the reins of, you know, that leadership role that we're all hoping that these kids, you know, get to at some point. And so shout out to Kobe for being a little leader.
Yeah, and he's not so little anymore. I think he's taller than me now.
He's still referred to as little Kobe because of Big Kobe.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, I will say along those lines that I think one of the great things about school music, now I'm not sure this was everywhere, but our time at Mount Carmel as like section leaders, I felt like we were really given the opportunity to like work with our peers, other students, and kind of lead them through sectionals and stuff like that. That was true for me. Was that true for you?
Yeah.
And I wish there was more. I wish there was more opportunities for stuff like that to happen. I think different time, but it's good to hear that Kobe is starting to do that. You know, I was really surprised at Christopher on Thursday, jumping in from, he started off with cornet, couldn't play it or struggled. We switched him to horn in January. And then, you know, I was thinking we were talking about this a couple weeks ago, like, I wonder how he would do on tuba. because he struggled a little bit on the tuba. And so last Thursday...
Where you been, the horn?
Sorry, on horn. Sorry.
Correct. He's just a very quiet player, right?
Well, embouchure,
yeah.
I don't think he understood how to... And, I couldn't devote all my time to getting him to change that. So when we put him on tuba, he was making a good sound. Now, granted, it was like a little baby tuba.
Still a big mouthpiece, though.
Yeah. I mean, he was giving it a go. So having Christopher now join Dominic on tuba, hopefully that'll be kind of like the tuba section for the foreseeable future and seeing them grow. So, yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for Everett. I'm excited for the new program year. Encore, I know some of you are kind of excited or anticipating what's coming up for Encore, mostly Jenny. But I think the Encore material is coming out either this week or next week. I just finished rewriting all the guitar stuff for ukulele. I haven't recorded it yet, but at least the music is out finished, so I got to send that to Derek. So if you're waiting for Encore material, that should be coming out within the next couple weeks, which at the end of the month is Officers Councils, so I will put in a plug for Encore stuff while we're all there. And just a reminder that Encore material, they're adding material that you can use throughout the year. So it's not just for the Encore competition in April. They've added stuff for like Christmas. They've added stuff for Easter, right? So if you don't have a clue or if you don't know where to get materials for like those big special events and special holidays, look at the Encore material. It's there. If you need stuff, reach out to Keith and I because we are resource rich. Our library is vast with a bunch of stuff. So if you lack materials that you can use, please reach out. In a couple of weeks, we will be coming out with a different method of playing piano, which is, mainly chording, so praise and worship piano. So stay tuned for that. Also, I forgot to mention that tonight we have our first discipleship group that I am leading. That is Nate Sabaha, James Lyons, Daniel Lyons, and Tatsuya Hodges. So,
is that a recurring thing?
Yep, every other Monday, starting tonight. So
tonight being the 15th. So
yeah, tonight being
the same day.
The 15th of September. Oh, another quick shout out. Shout out to the development team for putting on a fantastic golf tournament last week, the Red Shield Classic. Mitchell Jump did a fantastic job as always with that tournament. Yours truly, the music department, participated. Let's end with talking about this for a minute. How did you feel that tournament went for you?
50-50, decent to really embarrassing. So
that was probably the best I've seen you play team golf.
That's the most I've contributed for sure.
Like ever. Yeah,
which is not a great feeling.
Which goes back to even playing, in Maine at the Old Orchard Beach tournaments.
Especially back then.
In 2011, 12, 13, 14, 15. That was not the case for me. That was probably the worst I've ever played in my life. Even worse than beginning. It took a lot of Jesus and a lot of concentration to not crash out. Shout out to the next generation of phrasing. I almost Hulk raged a couple times.
We started on hole 10. He quit the game on, I want to say 14 and 1. And then was inspired to play another 18 by the time we got to hole 7 or 6, I think.
Yeah, so it took 12 holes from my mind and body to be like, this is how you play again. And so, yeah, you got to love the game of golf. If you're not a golfer and if you want something that is both aggravating to no end, but also one of the most enjoyable experiences that you'll ever have, take up golf.
I think I always put it as it's the most fun you'll have while being completely miserable.
It's like was it Charles Dickens, the best of times? It was the worst of times.
It's all those at the same time.
At the same time. So yeah, plug for golf. If you're not a golfer, it's expensive, but it's a lifelong journey, just like music. Oh, man, that's another good thing. Sometimes I pick up my instrument and my face is like, nope, let's put this down. Other times I pick up my instrument, it's like, man, it's like you never left. You sound like old David Dawes back in the day. Sound, can't play, but his skill is. Okay, I am Rambling. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you next time.
Bye-bye.
In the heart of the rain and evergreen trees, the mountains meet the sea, a place of peace. Melodies rising like the morning mist. We gather to learn, create, and exist. Beyond the sound, beyond the stage, we lift our voices, turn the page. A symphony of love, unbound. Here in the PNW, we go beyond the sound. From blast to brush, from strings to song, every hand and heart finds where they belong. In every note and color, every line and beat, we build a world where souls can meet. Beyond the sound, beyond the sound, beyond the stage, we lift our voices, we lift our voices, turn the page. A symphony of love, unbound. Here in the PNW, we go beyond the sound. From brass to brush, from strings to song, every hand and heart finds where they belong. In every note and color, every line and beat, we build a world where souls can meet. Beyond the sound, beyond the sound, beyond the stage, we lift our voices, we lift our voices, turn the page.